Hello and welcome to Intuitive Clarifications with Natasha. I am here to support you in your life's journey, as I love to support anybody and everybody who can honor themselves to be who they want to be, and that includes everybody. So, with that, I hope everybody's being treated well with this new moon. I know that for me, most of the day, well, actually, most of the week here, I've been kind of feeling weird. I've been feeling off. I've been feeling kind of like everywhere but nowhere, but that means that I'm everywhere, right? Because if you're nowhere, you're actually everywhere. So with that, we also have Neptune coming through this like different portal here that has been doing a little dance, and I made a mistake that it said it was retrograde. I'm not really attached to all that, but I just know that I heard that Neptune was going through its little dance of going back over. It represents the illusions of life, right? Neptune illusions and everything like that. So what illusions are coming into your life that you are trying to negotiate through? Because the fact that we're all in the midst of a lot of changes, we're in a lot of dances, we're in a lot of different things. And so with it's amazing how when we are trying to figure out where we're going to go, what we're going to do, you have to follow that gut instinct. But half of us don't know what that is. And it's like, I've had these deep, deep, deep conversations with many people lately about these deep stories that they have in themselves, right? And actually, I've been actually doing that. I've been having some deep conversations. I was at Intuitive Fair this last weekend, and there was some deep conversations around even partners, the partners we have in life. And yes, I was talking to the females, but at the same time, I had a couple masculine energies that came to me. And, it was interesting how they were like the ADHD brain and how to negotiate that. And then at the same time, all these different energies about, how do I negotiate these people that don't want to move up in their knowings, right? That there's a lot of people actually that don't want to learn about themselves. They don't want to do better. It's too almost scary for them to do better, right? And how do you negotiate them? How do you deal with them when they don't want to do anything, when they don't want to go forward, how do you do that? And like for me, for many years in my relationship, I love my husband and he's now 13 years sober and, doing much better. And I say I'm walking a miracle because he's actually trying. And I actually had this conversation with him about how I had these different people in front of me. One was where we were at maybe 5, 7 years ago, and then another one, they were friends, and this one's husband was like we were at maybe well, the one in front of me was about 10 years ago, and then this one was about 7 years ago, and now we're at this stage, right? And it was like boom, boom, boom. And it was interesting how, and this is one thing that Neptune and a lot of the planets are going through right now, is it's making us look back over something. And there's going to be a little bit more about this. Looking back over what can we do different in our life. Hello, Veronica. Thank you. And oh my gosh, it was so great to hug you in person. Because I love you so much. That we look back over things. And it was interesting how I really sat in that understanding about how the woman who was in front of me at this time and knowing that her husband isn't going to change, right? Isn't going to change. And this one over here, I could feel, hi, Kim, how are you? Glad to see you here. That there was this one over here that, her husband, actually has a lot of trauma in his daily job. And so with he's trying, but yet he can't be the person who he wants to be because of the trauma that he's going through or has gone through. And so it was like, but I can see that this one wasn't going to change. And actually the friend co, you know, confirmed that. This one, I said that actually he can. He just has to negotiate a lot. But then it's like this person here, and then there was another person I had a conversation with that they are choosing to stay with their partner. And the words that came out of my mouth were, well, basically, you're going to have to figure out how can you survive it? How can you negotiate it? How can you not get triggered into their patterns? How can you not? And I know, like there's somebody who's watching here that, that sometimes we choose to not engage with people, right? We do not change engage with people because we don't want to deal with it. And so with but sometimes when we're reaching out and we're trying to break these old patterns, we have to go into places that are uncomfortable, these things that trigger us. Oh, and that's a good word. Their actions trigger us to react a certain way, right? Well, that's the whole key of it, right? That's mainly the key to a lot of things. There's two keys here in this conversation, right? Because your truth is your truth. I want to make sure that it's known that your truth is your truth. I'm a perspective. My downloads that I'm getting right now to talk to you about are a perspective. The ones that I've had perspective about, when I've done readings with people, it's like, but we have these old things that are triggering. And I'm really talking with my hands. Sorry, I'm gonna try to keep them quiet. That it's like these things that we're having are old triggers that really set us up for not successfulness with people. And it's not that, like people who do not change, right? And even me, my husband for many, many, many years didn't want to change because of the fact that his alcoholism was telling him not to. And so with that, I really knew that I had to figure out how to change myself, how to change what my triggers were, how I was going to trigger, how I was supposed to negotiate my triggers. Because that's the only thing that I'm responsible for, right? I can't be responsible for how they change. I only can be responsible for my triggers. And so if you can, remembering that the triggers, right? Those triggers that are applying to this new understanding that we're getting into, that how can we not let that person's story negotiate those triggers? And I know that like Kim, when you go to see your dad, there's going to be some old triggers, right? I'm sorry for naming you here, but it's like one of those things that it's like we get these triggers, we get these stories, we get these understandings. Well, I know for me that a lot of times I had to disrupt my trigger. I had to disrupt that understanding that this conversation was a trigger, or that interaction was a trigger, or that, like, if let's say when Rick would drink, that it would be a trigger for me because he would be oh yes, so many, she says, that there was a lot of triggers. Well, why, for one, why are you drinking when we can have a life that we can definitely have, which we're having right now? Oh my gosh, amazing things. It's like, and I knew that back then that I could have, a better life with him if he made different choices, right? But the thing is, though, I can't control his movie. And that's one thing that really brings me into an understanding, and it keeps me in my own wheelhouse, is that, the metaphor that everybody has their own movie, that they are representation, they are the lead directors of their own movie, they are the own leader of their movie. What is it? The lead role, whatever you want to call it, of their movie. And like me and my husband, when we're together, we have leaders of our movie that we choose to be together. Thing is, so what he says, I'm not a part of that script. What I say, he's not a part of that script until we tell the script, right? And well, that was just came to me to use that language. So with that, you know, I had to, in order to not be receiving that trigger that that person did, is that I had to neutralize it. And I had to really check in. What is my intention with replying? Because of the fact that, tone in voices, tone in thought, whoo, we don't have to be saying what we're thinking, but we put it out there, and many of us don't have a face that can hide much, right? So when we go someplace, the best thing we can do when we have these triggers that are presenting, let's say, if Rick started drinking again, I would have to work on my old triggers, right? Or if when I start staying up way too late, night after night after night after night, my husband has to deal with his old triggers with me. So, with that, when we're working with those old triggers, when we're working with those old stories, that it's about how can we heighten our understanding around things. Well, I know for me that when I have a trigger in my head, it doesn't matter if it's my husband or if it's somebody else or if it's, negotiations, because my husband's doing so much better. And, it's like, triggers are just triggers, is how much power we give them, right? How much power do we give this trigger? How much power do we give this thought? How much power do we give this understanding? Now, for me, I can say in the moment that I'm done with this trigger. I'm done with this story. I'm done with this application. I'm just done with it. And that's the thing is that when we're in the middle of a lot of things, that if we can say, I'm done with something and I'm receiving blessings in this journey, I'm receiving knowings in this journey. So if we can not necessarily enable what the trigger is, but you just basically give it, don't any more attention. I'm done with this trigger. I'm done with the story. And when we become more neutral, and I've talked about other shows about becoming more neutral, and it's almost I don't care, right? It's almost has the signature of I don't care. And it doesn't mean that you don't care about the other person's health, you don't care about their own story, you don't care about what they're talking about, but it's like I don't care because it doesn't have any more power. And it's a moment where we're all in different stages of our life. Somebody who is in their 20s might care a little bit more than somebody who's in their 30s, and somebody in their 30s might care a little bit more than somebody in their 40s, and somebody might, so you might have this reference of caring in the moments by their age groups, because I know that I've been talking to a couple people who, they're at the retirement age and a little bit more, and they're just basically saying, I just don't really care. I don't care what other people are doing. I don't care about the gossip. I don't care about the story. I just don't care. Right. And it's not that I don't care about other people's stories. I really care about their story when they want to talk about it and do something different. But I'm not going to care about the gossip that comes from somebody else, right? I'm not going to care about that because that's just stirring the pot. And so when you going back to this, when we choose to stay in a situation, a job that doesn't fit right, or isn't quite, seating right, or dealing with people in a job that doesn't work quite right, that we really have to think about what is that trigger that is doing, and then what power do we give that trigger? Because perspective is 90% of that. Right? We can only care when our perception is that was wrong. That what they're doing is wrong. What are they doing that's wrong? Well, who's wrong and who's right? Some people drink. I know my husband drank most of his years because he had so much pain in his head. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it that it didn't fit in my house. And that's what I've told him is that, honey, that when you did these things, it wasn't that you wrong that you did it. It just didn't fit in my life as well. And so we had to put up some boundaries around it. So putting up boundaries around these triggers, putting up boundaries around these concepts of this is not a good thing or that's not a good thing, because it's what their life is. It's what their movie is. And that's where we can, hi Paula, thank you for being here. That's what we can do many times, is really try to figure out how can I negotiate this insight of an understanding of a trigger. Because I'm going to tell you that Neptune, the illusion, what is the illusion? The illusion could be the concept that this trigger is right or wrong. Well, it's right or wrong for me, and I'm not going to do it, but may not be wrong or right for that person. And so our perceptions and our perspective can really negotiate that in a different light. So I'm not saying that anybody's right or wrong if they have a trigger. I get it. I have triggers, but I have to ask my trigger, what power do you have over me? Is this the right timing for that trigger? Is this the time for me to point the finger at somebody doing wrong? But really, if it's wrong or right, that's up to you and how you're dealing with it and how they're dealing with it. If they don't think it's wrong and they're not going to change, well, then something's going to happen. So going into this, we can't necessarily wait for the shoe to drop. We never know when that shoe is going to drop. We don't know if somebody else is going to leave that job. We don't know when we're going to be able to move on to another job. We don't know if somebody's going to pass away, if they're having struggles. We just don't ever know. I know for me, for many, many years, I thought my husband was going to pass away. He's still here. He's still here because he made other choices. He made other choices in his life. I don't know the answer to all that. I just know that this is the story that I'm living because that's the one but I know for me that once I stop talking about my problems, stop talking about it. Now, there are certain people I did talk to about it because I had to express those emotions. I'm one that I speak out about things because that's my processing. If I am allowed to talk to certain people, I can process things a little bit differently. And that processing scale of things is a healthy thing. But the thing is, though, I chose not to rant and rave about it. I chose not to point the finger because remember, there's always three pointing back at you when you point a finger. That I was choosing this. So sometimes when we're throwing something out, like, well, you did that. Well, guess what? Energy is in us, right? Is that a healthy energy for my movie? Not really. So, how can you make your movie better? Is by doing these things of mental health to support you in that's life journey. And so coming into this, that it is about how can you perceive these new things so that you have a different perception. And my choice right now is to be in the frequency of more abundance and life and love coming my way so that I can be in a neutral place for these other things that are happening. There's been this thing at school, this gaga ball thing. And the rule is that the olders get to play on the soccer field and the youngers get the gaga ball. And then it flips around the other way. Everybody's playing fine on the goggle pit, right? Everybody's basically doing an okay job. Not everybody, but they're the ones that their movie wants to coexist are doing an okay job. So with it's like it's not for me to stir the pot and say this isn't going to happen. Now, that's wrong, right? That's wrong according to the rules of where I work. But the thing is though, for me, I don't really care. I'm neutral about it. It's one of those things. So until this pot gets stirred again, I guess I'm going to be the one that just kind of says, I saw it working. And everybody was agreeing. Isn't that what Gaga Ball is all about? Is everybody agreeing or working it out? So tag, I probably am going to get my little done, but I'll back it up when I need to, right? But the thing is, though, how do we negotiate those things that are happening? Sometimes we have to walk away from something, or sometimes we need to have boundaries around it. Sometimes we have to do these things that get us out of it. Now, I'm not always the best one to say it. I'm not always because I mean, on my phone here, I sometimes play, my games to kind of go out of my mindset sometimes, right? So going into this, but the thing is, so many a times we're in this moment where we're going forward. So now there's another part of this that I wanted to talk about today, and it's about how right now the universe is really talking to us, right? The universe is really talking to us, kind of like the other day. What was it? Monday. Now we've had this new moon, right? There's a new moon today. or the last 24 hours. And then Neptune's doing its move. And then we have some other things going on that is really kind of shaking up this story about how is the universe, how are we to listen to the universe, and how's the universe talking to us? Well, the other day I walked out, and in a tree across the field, or across a little, well, there's a little field in front of us. Like, we have our lot, and then there's a lot, and then the tree was in the other side of that lot. And there's this one crow, I'm guessing it was a crow, and he was scratching. He was scritching in a way that it's like he was going squawk, right? And the others were going squish, 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 squish. So he was talking a total different language. And it was almost like I got the image that he was wanting to do his thing. He wanted to speak a certain way. And everybody else was saying, no, you can't speak that way. No, you can't speak that way. No, you can't speak that way. Well, the universe does speak to us all in different ways. And I thought that's kind of an interesting conversation that those guys are having. Is that they were all about, trying to have this conversation, but everybody seemed to be talking another language. Well, isn't that the way that the universe speaks to us, is in different languages? Because I think this is a miracle myself, is that, I have a dictionary with the universe. My husband has a dictionary with his universe. Other people, like each one of you that is watching today, you'll have a different dictionary to your universe. And so if you know that you listen more in a feeling, a knowing, then fall back into what pattern you listen to first. So, like, I had a person at the fair, and she was saying that how do I listen? I want to gain these skills. I want to get to know this, and I want to use this other skill that I don't have very much. And I said, when you're learning to listen to the universe, you have to go back to what you know. You have to go back to what you hear. Now, if I hear the universe, that is what I'm going to use the most to get my dictionary down with the universe. I hope that makes sense. And so going into this, and then if you are one that you would want to look and see what the universe wants to show you. Okay. Now, there's other things that are happening. Now, like this morning, I was driving down the driveway, and I had two squirrels going from west to east. And one had a nut in its mouth. Did the other one have his nut in the mouth? I don't think the second one had a nut in his mouth. So it's about, because squirrel is about the having fun. It's about, gathering what you can. One had a nut in his mouth. So, what am I doing to gather my knowledge, gather my financials, gathering up my abundance, gathering up what I can do, gathering up my joy, because actually squirrel is about work and play, the balance of that. And so going into this, that those squirrels, but they were going from west to east. So that means that new beginning, because the east is about the sunrise, the new coming in, right? So there is a message that the universe was giving me. Well, the thing is, though, I was talking to someone, and this big aha came in while I was talking with this person, and they were saying about how, that when they were a kid, that their parent had to talk to them in an anger, frustration, just kind of a rough way to get their attention. And as a kid, that put up that pattern of that you listen to things the hard way. That you have to get the knock across the head to get the knowings, right? Well, the thing is, though, if we've practiced to listen in that way, how is the universe going to talk to you? Are you going to have the grace and ease? Now, for me, I really listen, not faulting that person for what they're doing, because heck, everybody's in a different stage, right? I honor everybody where they're at, because everybody listens different. I have gotten to the point in all the years that I have practiced. Now, remember, I remember being born, so I've been practicing for a very long time. I didn't have parents that snubbed my light. They actually built my life up. Now, I took a little hiatus through the first part of my teen years and my early 20s. I kind of took a little quietness with my intuitiveness, but yet at the same time, it was still awake. I couldn't turn it off. And so with that I was able to listen to the universe with a little bit more ease because my dad showed me how to. He showed me the interesting moments of life and showed me how to negotiate it. So for me, the two squirrels, the crows, these other things like me holding a ladybug today was a great message for the person. And then another girl come up, that was the first time I've actually held a real ladybug alive. And she was just a first grader, right? So that joyfulness of who she was so rewarding to see, because I didn't know that, and we were lining up to go into for lunch, so it was a little hectic time for me. So I didn't honor it as well as I probably could have, and I apologize to that being. But it's one of those things. So do you listen? Do you deserve? Are you worthy? Are you feeling worthy to have a grace and ease life? That's what I want you to check in with. That's what I want you to hone into is, do you have a life that you are worthy and you deserve of grace with ease? Because if you know that, you feel that in your bones, as the saying goes, you feel that in your gut circuit, you feel that in your understanding, you feel that in your soul's walk, you feel that in your understanding of your emotions, your nervous system, that you're worthy. And oh God, my heart chakra is like really opening up right now. That ache. And remember, ache doesn't always mean negative. Ache sometimes means expansion and story opening up. That it's that grace and ease. So for me, that message that two squirrels gave me was huge. The story of the crows was huge. So I got things with grace and ease, but I was willing to listen with grace and ease, right? So when we're going into this, the way check in, how did you have to listen to? This is just a big insight that I'm getting right now, and did in this conversation is that how did you used to have to listen to your parents? How did you have to listen? Did you listen with a little bit of quietness and meekness? Right? So you're kind of like going, I don't want to hear. Well, think about that. That might be a little bit more of uncovering that you need to do. Or did you listen because somebody went, ah, and you went, well, how's the universe going to have to get your attention? Because out of practice. Now, that's part of that healing that the universe is asking us to do right now. That is that part of the understanding. Just like, there was a skate night the other night, and this one person, said that an ex-boyfriend who she felt a big, strong connection with, um, was there. Well, isn't that the past coming back to say, we need to heal that? And I don't need to hide from my old story. I don't need to hide from my old story. I just need to move it up. So going into this, we're all ready. If you're in the spiritual walk, if you're ready to move forward, we're getting the itch to walk across the bridge. And we have to remember, just like my friend who's moving out of state right now, and she got miraculously within days, she got an offer, right? That's a miracle in today's walk. And called me up because she had fear. She had anxiety about it. Is she making the right decision? But she's ready to walk across the bridge to new understanding. So I repeated back what she said to me, about how this state of Washington doesn't feel quite right now. She has a lot of story in Washington state here that she's ready to leave behind. There's just a lot of things. So I repeating back what she said, right? So that she could be willing to walk across that bridge, because that anxiety feeling, that anxiousness feeling, that am I making the right decision feeling is part of the stirring of the pot to walk across the bridge to a new knowing. And so when you're going forward like that, you have to get irritated. So even us breaking these old triggers, breaking down these old triggers really are part of walking across that bridge to become our higher enlightened self. It's that dimensional walk that we're walking into. So, believing in you that this magic that is coming in this new moon's cycle with Neptune's taking the illusion away, or presenting, actually, it's not taking it away, it's actually presenting to us what is the illusions in your life that don't suit you anymore. Sometimes it is the spouse that doesn't necessarily sit right with us anymore. Well, if you have to stay with them, what are you going to do about it? You're going to work on your triggers. You're going to work on boundaries. You're going to work on self love. You're going to work on understanding that a lot of the decisions that you have to make on your own, that, or that you just have to go, la, 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 la. I'm not going to pay attention. I'm not going to pay attention. La, 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 la. Right? Sometimes you have to get numb to it, which is not the positive thing to do. But in that moment, sometimes we have to get numb so that trigger doesn't scream and yell back, so that we can be who we're meant to be. And, the wisdom that we have in this day and light is about, what is the anxiety showing me? What is this emotion showing me? What is this story showing me? What am I supposed to do about this story showing me? Right? So if you can, remembering that no matter what you're going to do, you're going to be perfectly imperfect as you're building your boundaries. You're going to be perfectly imperfect as you're negotiating your triggers. You're going to be perfectly imperfect as you're trying to walk over the bridge into new knowings. It's a moment where it's not an easy process to live this life right now. And as we were doing trivia in the lunchroom, and one of the trivia was, and where's the happiest place on earth? And one of the kids said was heaven. Well, heaven, and the people that were doing this actually believe that heaven is somewhere else. I quietly swept. Not my story to express right at that minute, because they're in that belief system that heaven is somewhere else. No, we can have our own enlightenment of what perception we have in our own life. Now, like I said, living with people who are alcoholics or are narcissists, or we have jobs that are not the easiest, that a lot of times those things are not easy. But we have to find some way of negotiating that. Now, does that mean that you maybe read more? Is that where you listen to music more? Is that where you choose to have two TVs in the room? Or in certain places, if you have a family room and another room, that you could have two TVs going on, or you have this understanding. So, like that with you, Veronica, we were talking about this. What if you turn your spiritual room into another private room for you that you can go to, so that there's that front room, and it's just one of those things that right now, in between this and that, when we had some other discussions around what other choices you have, but there's an idea that just popped in, right? To give you that peace until things happen. If they're meant to happen, when they're meant to happen, because you don't know what next spring is going to be yet. None of us do. The Chinese year next year is the year of the horse. We are in the year of the snake, which is shedding that old skin, shedding out that old story. So the more we can do this in the 9 year that we're having, in the year of the snake we're having, that the more we can shed off these old stories, these old illusions of what life is and what life we can have. For me, I am choosing, okay, I'm in the frequency of love and light. I have blessings all around me. I have good things that are happening to me all the time. And if I have to spend a little bit more on gas, universe, please make sure that that is part of the process, right? And good job, Veronica. It's like one of those things that we have to move forward into making us happier, more enlightenment. And actually, I don't even want to use the word happy, but that's the one word that I want to jump into here, is that because joy isn't always happy. Joy is that I'm okay. Joy is that I'm going to be okay. Joy is that life is going to be okay. Joy is that moment where it's like I can breathe, right? I can breathe. And so, coming into this, we're all in the midst of life moving forward, and sometimes we have to drag a little bit of the ickiness along with us. But the thing is, though, our perception, our being done with those triggers, and being done with our old lifestyle is part of that. And it's amazing when we get done with things and I'm receiving things, because receiving, the ing is about action, right? I'm done and I'm receiving. So what trigger are you done with? And what are you receiving instead of it? Flip that coin over. No knots, no none, no no's, right? But be done and I'm receiving. So be open to that. And it's time for me to channel, and I'm hoping that that um I really didn't tap into who is going to channel today. I apologize. Who's coming around me? Oh, I got a little bit of story with Mother Mary, and I've got Jesus here, and I've got Michael here, and I've got Sophia here. Who's going to rise up? Who's going to rise up? Oh, and while I'm checking out to see who's going to speak up, the little square that's on my screen here, that is you can scan that to go to my website, and that can get you on the information that I'm going to be in the fair on Sunday, and that I'm going to be in booth 18, and that there's some other things. Oh, and I have 10% on my appointments right now, my sessions right now. So Jesus. Okay, Jesus is coming through. Okay. See, I had to wait. They're all sifting through. So if somebody else pops in, that's okay too. I will be pulling oracle cards. I have to go soon after, so I might just pull a couple oracle cards for where we're at right now, so that we can negotiate our story. Okay, give me a second here. So remember, if I channel, your truth is your truth. If anything, please remembering that it's mainly what's being said here, not the energies that's bringing it through. And so if you can, just honor the moment that we're in and where we're going with this. Hello, dear ones. You have been coming through a lot on this planet, and the energies are all flying around for you. Flying around like the crow, like this dear one had a crow message today. She had to ask the universe for help. She asked the universe to help her because she was not really settled in the energies around her. She was feeling a little off-centered. And that's not like her mainly. She likes to be centered, but this energy is really stirring up her self-centeredness to awaken these parts of her into an alignment of the newer energies coming in. So if you're feeling off centered, that is part of this realignment that your planet is coming into. So she asked for help. Well, guess who came and helped her? Was Crow. Crow came and helped her and danced on the roof a little bit right by her when she was on the playground of her morning job. So with the crow energy, it came to her and flew into her and settled her. So remembering that crow flies high, yet spends a lot of time on the ground or in places. It is a very smart bird. So using crow energy medicine can be a benefit for a lot of people, especially if you have ravens around you. Those ravens are very smart. They have a little bit more knowing than crow. They are not much different, but there's just a little bit. So going where you are and what you are doing, there is a bunch of movement. There is a bunch of movement of people wanting to move here and there and there and here. And that is okay. That is okay to have that movement story in your life, because movement is upon this earth. And when you are in this movement of your life's walk, that you feel this itch and this anxiety about actually doing it. That is the fear-based signature of not moving out of old story, out of the illusion that you are in. So can you move forward and not move your physical body? Yes, you definitely can. You don't have to do that. What movement does is gives you a whole different perspective for your energy field of your body, right? There is a difference between the East Coast and the West Coast of the United States, or the North or the South. You have many different understandings that come forward. So be calm in your understanding, be knowing in your understanding, and remembering that you have gifts inside of you all the time emerging so that you can be who you are meant to be. And it's time for you to trust these understandings, these old stories of old angers and knowing. There's just this disbelief of people understanding that they can heal with the chaos around them. You can heal, and actually chaos around you is a perfect example of what are you seeing outside of you compared to what are you doing for your insides. If you are paying attention to the world outside of you more than the world inside of you, that is part of the old set illusion of trigger, because those old triggers are part of the darkness that wants to stay on this planet. The illusion that there's disharmony around you is part of the illusion of the darkness that wants to stay on this planet. My Christ consciousness, the Yahshua in all of you, is part of the light that needs to and wants to and is being called upon this planet. And I, Yeshua, would love for you to come home into your own knowings, into your own frequency of your body self, so that you can honor your being of life. Heaven, the words that you know of that word and the illusion that it has been spoken of, is not anywhere else besides in you. Heaven resonates with you, resonates within you, because that is the space of light that is you. Heaven is light, light is you, you are heaven, heaven is you, because you are light. Feel that, resonate with that, be that. We are all light. We are all beings. We are all centered in the universe's creation of you. You are the unique signature that you are meant to be in this lifetime. Honor it and be it by being it and doing it. You can believe anything you want. You can believe the illusion that is going on around you of disharmony, or you can believe the knowing of light, which is you. It does take time to move from outer to inner, yes, fully inner. And that's where you witness this dear one many a times, as she has come to more of a centered place inside of her, her light inside of her. So even though she may seem in her own head uncentered or out of sorts, and that is when she is more her truer light, because she is so vulnerable with who she is. It is really time, my dear, for you, my dears, all of you, yes, individually and collectively. It is time for you to honor your light that you are. Picture it here, and picture it in your gut center. The three minds, the three brains, the three systems that work together to process this body form that you are today. You are a great wisdom of your life. Isn't that the statement? You are a great wisdom of your life. Be your wisdom that you have grown to be. You do not have to believe other people's wisdoms of stories, of illusions, especially of the negative. It is time for you to believe in you. You are the light. You are the miracle. You are the story. You are the gift. And it's time for you to be. So be. As I am no one to be on anybody's pedestal, I am just a guidance of light. I'm a guidance of love, and I'm a guidance of compassion. So be the compassion, be the light, and be the love, even if it's tough. Remember, I've had to have tough love myself. And so my mother and my brothers and my sisters. Know that you are all one of love. Whew. Thank you for being here with me. Whew. Whew. Sorry, that was a moment. When you feel that much love. Whew. It's a lot. So, okay. Cards. I did not pull my cards out when I was doing the fair this last weekend. So I am going to do, who am I going to do? Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to do the angel cards. You're more than welcome, Veronica. Let's see. I do have a few minutes. I'm going to have to leave just a few minutes early. Let's see here. Yes, Paula. Okay. So, angels, please bring the message. This is for Veronica. This is what was happening at the fair I was at this weekend too. The cards were like literally jumping out. Okay, so are the cards up and down? They're all upright. Okay, so I had chicken with the team. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, Veronica. Okay, so one was Rosetta. Okay, you have a gift for working with young people, and your divine purpose involves helping, teaching, or parenting children. So, Veronica, remembering, hello, Jessica. It's not about, I feel like this card about young people, it's more about your inner child. Working with your inner child right now would be such a gift, and healing a lot of that conversation that you have around the children. So remembering, if I'm pulling an oracle card, that that if one card resonates with you, then please walk with it too. Yes, I see everybody who is wanting to, or I see who's wanting cards. So so working with your inner child right now would be a blessing, because it's time. Vanessa is time to make your decision. Ask yourself which way brings you closer to divine purpose, which takes away, and which way takes you away from it. Okay, so I'm going to reread that. So to make your decision, ask yourself which way brings me closer to divine purpose, which way takes me away from it. So that's a good one for whoever's trying to make a decision right now, is which way takes you to that higher purpose, that higher understanding, because there's a happy move coming for you, Veronica. Happy move, new home, place of employment is in the works. This movement will usher in a positive new energy. That's the yeah, with that conversation we had. Because there's an happy addition to your family. So the happy addition may be the new movement, the new concept, the new idea. Because the angel of abundance, Serena. Serena was here. Didn't I say Serena was here? The angel of abundance. I didn't know she was the angel of abundance. Will receive money um, that you need. God is in charge of how if this happens. So have faith. Okay. So to go over it again, it's about the inner child. It's about which way brings your decision. The happy move that you're going to be making because in addition to your family, new understandings, new grace, because abundance is coming your way. Okay, so now it's for Paula. Paula. This one's for you. Woo! Can't make that up. Okay, so you have Bridget right now. So Bridget is about cautions are warranted. Look deeper into the situation before proceeding further. So in other words, when I read this card for you, Paula, it's not about don't be afraid. Don't be cautious. Don't go, I can't make that decision yet. It's about just taking a little bit more and really discerning back to like what that statement with Veronica's card was, is that which brings you to your higher purpose and which way brings you back. So it's not making the decision in a quickness. Like I was having a conversation with somebody that she came in and said something, and in my head I'm saying, I need to be in interaction. I need to be in interaction. You're being in reaction right now. So be careful about what reactionary decisions you're making, because that's the ones to be cautious of. So Bridget is saying that because I am leading you toward an answer of your prayers. So please listen to follow the steps. I'm communicating with you through your intuitional thoughts and dreams. So you had caution, but they're also helping you. So remembering, Paula, that it is about that balance. And this could be just as simple as, do you get a new cat, right? Do you get these new understandings? So which one brings you to your higher purpose? Okay. I hope that makes sense, because I'm not feeling which decision. That's just a theme of your life right now. Okay, so who is next? So crystals. Okay. Crystals, remember. Hello. Thank you for being here. I do. My name is Kathy. Oh, hi, Kathy. Okay, Kathy, this one's for you. Okay, Kathy, open up, my dear. Open up. Because you don't have to tell me what it is, but the angels knew. Okay, so you have Lila, and spend time alone in nature, meditating about your desires, your intentions. Ask the angels to help you gain a positive perspective. So like for me today, I was feeling very wonky. As Jesus said, I was feeling very wonky. And so I spent a few minutes in the car before I moved. So spending a few minutes alone can really help us sometimes center ourselves, because it's time to have patience with yourself and understand that we are all going through something. And if you're going through something, my dear, that Kathy, if you're, it's about spending that moment of just honoring you for all that you've done and everything that you are and everywhere you're going. You've been coming through a lot, and it's time to just honor you, because now is the time to learn and study, gather information, enjoy being the student, because in the future you will be synchronize your knowledge into action. Because Francis is saying, what you desire right now, visualize it, and it will come true about. Negativity will block your progress, because Archangel Michael, who was here earlier, I am with you, giving you courage to make the life changes that will help you work in your divine purpose. So it's about trusting that purpose and that process, because it's time to take care of our inner child and spend time with the animals, like I did with the squirrel and the crow and that kind of thing, right? So honor that. Okay. I hope that helps, Kathy, in a short, quick version of a longer story for you. Okay, so Jessica, yes, I have time. And then Kim, yes, I will get all of you in. You're more than welcome, sweetie. Woo! Okay. Okay, this is for Jessica. Okay. Okay, this one wants to come out. Okay, these are coming out. And there's one more in here for you. I feel it. I feel it in here for you. There's one more. Which one is it? And I feel like it's that one. Okay. So going with 1, 2, 3 here. A happy move to a new home or place of employment is in the works. This moment will usher in positive new energy. So, Kim, it's time to honor this feeling that you've been having of being shooken up, right? In our session that we had the other day, you were talking about that, it's okay if you won't stay or go, but there's something about this new movement because, you're at the end of a life cycle. You're at the end of a life cycle, and you call upon the angels to comfort you and guide you to your next step. Happiness awaits you because you have a special bond with animals, right? You have a special bond with animals. And maybe that's where you need to go. That's maybe where you call them to go, is more to the animals, right? Your pets on earth are being watched over by the angels because Archangel Gabriel, you have important life involvement, communication, and of the arts. Okay, let me start that over. I apologize. You have an important life purpose involving communication and the arts. Please don't allow insecurities to hold you back. I will help you. So with that, my dear, it is time for you to believe. Now, take advantage of where you're at right now. But there's something about coming up for you that it's time for you to kind of, even if you take a part-time job at the Humane Society, right? Or at a pet store or something like that. Not a pet store, but a vet, or, just something. Just something. Do something different. That just came to me, right? Those animals. You and your other one. Okay, so this one is that was for Jessica. No. Oh, that was for Kim. I'm sorry. That's the energy I had was for Kim. So now, did I do one for you, Jessica? Okay, I got to check in with that. Yes, that was for Jessica. Now for you, Kim. This is for you, Kim. Woo! But it resonates with me too also. Yeah, so we'll just, woohoo! Okay, so this is for Kim. This is for Kim. We might get a lot of the same cards. I don't know. Boy, these cards are like all over. So if anybody who's watching today or later, oh my gosh, these cards can resonate with everyone. Everyone can get something out of these cards because they are just resonating. So this one's for Kim. Boy, the animal one really resonated with you though, Kim. Woo! Okay. Okay, so Kim, the first one that came out, I apologize for that. It's time for you to give birth to a new idea, a new process of understanding, right? It's time to give birth to new ideas and to your situations in life. I'm watching over you, guiding you, and protecting you during these changes, Isaiah, because faith and hope, Kim, is something positive, new on the horizon you can't see quite yet. So take care of your body, take care of that understanding that you're in, because your desired reach is in reach, right? Because caution is warranted to take a breath before you really start taking in what is in the process of what you're going forward with. So that process of, because it says caution is warranted, look deeper into the situation before proceeding further. So this kind of pertains to your trip with your dad. But yet this is the rest of your understanding, and some of Jessica's reading, both of you resonated with both of those. So there's something about that animal card that resonates for you. Yeah. Interesting. Life is interesting right now. Now, that discombobulation at the end of the readings like that is pretty much the energy that we're in. I don't know how many times that I asked if something was there, and the person or the situation was right there. Whew, angels are switching, or time is switching. So I'm going to pull one more card to get. Oh, thank you. Resonates with me too. Maybe Jessica and I are going through the same thing. That's a good point. Thank you. You're welcome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's a little bit more. I'm going to give a card. This is for everybody. Oh, I got to put them back in. Sorry. Oh, you're more than welcome. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of discombobulation out there to shake us up so we can walk across the bridge with a little clearer idea of how we want to walk into our new future, which to me is right now, we have to trust the bridge that is strong enough to carry us into this new knowing that we're going into. Okay, cards for everyone. Cards for everyone. Cards for everyone. Have faith and hope, because there is something positive new on the horizon that we cannot see yet. Yet. Isn't that the statement? The yet. We cannot see yet. So trust the process. The universe right now is leading us into some magical understandings. Like for me, oh my gosh, I got the message this last weekend that my soul's on fire and it is guiding me where I need to go, and I need to listen to that. If that means I'm going to be uncomfortable doing emails, if that means that I'm in the moment of trying to do this or that, and it's about doing it and being it and walking it forward, because take action. You're in touch with your truth, and this situation, and you need to trust your gut and lovingly assert yourself is the last card. Can't make this up. Well, may you have blessings. May you receive blessings, and know that blessings are in the works. We have to walk forward. We have to be proactive to do it. But trust. I can trust that my actions and my new boundaries and my taking care of my triggers are going to be working well. I'm going to surrender that the universe is going to show me what I need to do, because I accept that where I'm at right now is in a place of looking at it so I can move forward, because it's time for me to be proactive and trust this walk forward. So this trust and surrender and acceptance is in such a deep level of our core self to understand we are worthy and deserving of life to be good. Even if we have partners and workplaces and these other things that are showing us difference. But it's our perception that gets us through it. I'm Natasha Venter, intuitiveclarifications.com. Knowing that we're all going through something, and I would love to help you out. And thank you for everyone here who has trusted me in this journey. I am so grateful to be here with you every week, Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific time, live. And if you want to watch later, please like, share, whatever you want to do. If you haven't followed yet, please follow and know that we're all here. And if you want to link to my website, it's up in the corner. If you are watching this on YouTube, and if you want to see what cards are being played, if you're listening later on a podcast, you can go to my website or my YouTube channel, Natasha Venter IC, and see it as the live shows. Blessed be. Bye now. May you be receiving miracles.